Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be on the Timex Quartz 364T. This is a vintage Timex watch and you can't buy it anymore, but I was able to pick it up on Yahoo Japan auctions as usual. So let's start off by talking about this design because this is the main reason why I bought it. It is such a vintage style watch. Like this whole having the calendar on the outer of the inner bezel, and you can see I can turn it with these two. These aren't pushers, these are just upper and lower crowns, so you can change the align the date and the day, and today is December 30th, so I'll just align it there. And what's today? Today is a Monday, so you can switch it there. So you can see I'll know that tomorrow is a Tuesday, and then it kind of goes on from there. So it has kind of this calendar function on the outside, and then the inside there is the day of the month, which is December 30th. And then it also has a sun and moon indicator. So this is day and night. So that way you can tell that, it is 2:18, 2:19 in the afternoon instead of 2:18, 2:19 at night. So if I pull out the crown, you can see that as I turn the time, it goes from a sun to a moon. So I don't know if you can count how many complications that is. I guess it's not like a whole lot, but let me just go to 1010. Let's just go to 1010. So you can see again the sun is showing, and it's going back to now it's December 31st. So this watch has a lot of different complications, and it kind of has that look of, if you ever look at like vintage Rolexes or vintage Omegas, there's this type of look where it has the calendar on the outside and then a bunch of different moon phases on the inside. That is what this watch captures, especially with this gold tone case. So I think that's really awesome to have in a vintage watch. And you really can't find watches with this type of design anymore. The only watch I can think of that kind of encompasses it is there's a Longines watch that also has a bunch of different complications. And it's actually not too expensive. I think it's like $3,000 to $5,000 Canadian. So, there's a few watches out there that, kind of encompass that vintage style, but not very many, and especially not at this price point, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But you can see on the back, it just says Timex 364T cell. I really don't know what the model number is. All I can tell is that the only distinguishing factor is 364T cell. So that's your model number. You can see that, let's flip it over here. Base metal, bezel, stainless steel back. So not really sure what base metal is, but it doesn't feel, how do I describe it? It's a Timex watch. So in terms of the feel of the watch, you can tell this is an affordable watch. This is not by any means a luxury watch, even though the complications are really interesting. So just keep that in mind when you have watches, especially Timex. That also leads to another point. So again, I bought this watch from Yahoo Japan Auctions, which is a Japanese auction site. When I purchased it, it wasn't running, or at least that's what the description said. So I knew it was quartz. So in my head, I thought that, if I just put in a new battery, that should be enough. But unfortunately, what happened was I popped in the battery and the watch would start running. But I noticed that when the watch did this, so let me change the time. I noticed that when the hour, the minute, and the seconds hand all aligned, or like more or less aligned, like somewhere around here, the clock would stop ticking, or the watch would stop ticking. And it kept doing that. And I had a feeling that, either the seconds hand or the minute hand or the hour hand was bent to the point that it was stopping the seconds hand from continuing. And that was the case. And I was able to get a watchmaker to fix it. So, just keep in mind that with vintage watches, sometimes the most random thing will cause it to malfunction. And actually recently this watch started to start and stop at random times. However, I was able to fix that by just popping out the case, taking the battery out, cleaning it up a bit, and then popping it back in. So, it's a function of vintage watches in general. Vintage watches, vintage cars, a lot of things can go wrong. But also the unfortunate thing is that Timex is an affordable brand. And in terms of durability, especially for their older watches, they're unfortunately, I don't think they're really built to last. They're not built like Swiss watches. They're built like American watches. which means they're not built very well, to be honest. So just keep that in mind when you're buying Timex watches in particular. Just keep in mind that some of them may not be designed to last that long. And in fact, I've seen some watches, some of the exact same model, where these crowns at the top and bottom end up falling out. So really, like, this is a delicate watch. I don't wear it very often. Speaking of which, I actually didn't wear it at all for a while because the strap it came with was pretty much like destroyed. And that's another function of leather straps, is that they don't last a ton, or they don't last a long time. They probably last, I don't know, like probably around 10 years before the leather starts to get too degraded. I bought this one from Amazon for like $15. I don't even know what the brand is. Doesn't even show what brand it is. It's just genuine leather. So, those are things to keep in mind. I did not buy an expensive strap because the watch itself wasn't too expensive. I got it for about $70 online, and I see it anywhere between like $50 to $200 Canadian online. And it really depends on the condition. Is there a strap available? Is it running? So a bunch of different factors are at play, but I got mine for about $80 total. So, wrapping up here, do I think this is a good looking watch? I think it is. I really think that this vintage style, it's not for everybody. Some people think it's like, this is like your grandpa's watch style, but I think it looks really nice. Let me actually get this on the wrist, on my 6-inch wrist. I'll put the dimensions in the description below, but the dimensions work perfectly on my 6-inch wrist. I think it looks very classy. I think it's an eye catcher. It's a conversation starter. So those are all very good things. And you can tell your friends, if you own this watch, that this is a Timex. It's a vintage Timex. A lot of things going on here. And I think it looks like a much higher end watch. If you just like hide the Timex brand, this could be, if this was mechanical, this would be like $1 million watch. And it's only quartz, but it does mean it's more affordable. So I think it looks really nice. And that's actually why I've kept this watch. The other reason is because it might be broken, and it's kind of hard to sell broken watches, but so far it's running pretty well. Looks really nice. Kind of looks like $1 million watch to me. Who would I recommend this to? So again, I would not recommend buying vintage watches to anyone who's like new to watch collecting, because you kind of have to set certain expectations, right? Like, these watches are really cool, and a lot of these things are things you can't buy in stores anymore, but you just got to be careful, because the risk of buying something that's damaged or just not working, or that requires like a bit of DIY, searching for parts or searching for a repair, all that can cause a headache. So I think if you are new to watch collecting, I would not seek out a vintage Timex, because they're just too inconsistent. You don't know what you're getting. You don't know how long it'll last. I think their new watches are quite decent though. I think they've had a good overhaul of the company. So I think Timex is good as a starter watch for their new watches, but for their older ones, just be a little bit more careful. But once you're a bit more familiar with watch collecting, you can get watches like this, which I think, again, so unique. Real conversation starter, real eye catcher. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed seeing this Timex 364T. I've seen them online, and I just want to show a video on them now. So yeah, thank you again. Be sure to subscribe for more videos. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.